Hello dear students, welcome to my channel. So today we are going to talk about the very next exercise from section formula, that is exercise 13b. Now in this particular exercise we are going to deal with a new formula and we call it midpoint formula. Okay, so let's try to understand what is the meaning of midpoint formula. So let me take a line whose endpoints are A and B. Fine, so the coordinate of A is x1, y1 and the coordinate of B is x2, y2. Now let me take a point P exactly in the middle, that is P is the midpoint of A and B. Then the coordinate of P is given by this particular formula. So here this x is equals to x1 plus x2 whole divided by 2, and similarly y will be equals to, this y will be equals to y1 plus y2 whole divided by 2. So this is all about your midpoint formula. So you may pause the video to note down your midpoint formula. So let's begin with the sums. So the first problem is find the midpoint of the line segment joining the points. So there are two questions given, so let's try one at a time. So in each case I'm calling P x comma y to be the midpoint of the given points. Okay, so in the first case, okay, so this is my x1 y1, this is my x2 y2. Okay, so x will be given by x1 plus x2, right? So x1 plus x2 whole divided by 2. To simplify this, it will be minus 3 by 2. Similarly, y will be given by y1 plus y2 whole divided by 2. So y1 plus y2 gives me 12 by 2 is 6. Okay, so we got x and y, so that's why the midpoint of this and this will be minus 3 comma 2 comma 6. Okay, so this will be the answer for my first question. Now similarly let's take another one. So for this one, this is my x1 y1, this is my x2 y2. Okay, so x is given by x plus x1, that is minus 1, so 5 plus minus 1 whole divided by 2, plus into minus is minus, so 5 minus 1 is 4, so 4 divided by 2 is 2. So this gives me x. Similarly y will be y1 plus y2 whole divided by 2, that is minus 3 plus 7 whole divided by 2, which is 4 by 2. Again I am getting 2, so I am getting x and y both to be 2, so that's why the midpoint of these two is going to be 2 comma 2. So pause the video to note down. So let's move on to the next question. So here what is given is A and B have coordinates 3 comma 5 and x comma y. So A and B are given whose coordinate is 3 comma 5 and x comma y. Fine. The midpoint of AB is 2 comma 3. So the midpoint, and I am calling this to be M, is given by 2 comma 3. So you need to find the value of x and y. Okay, so basically this is my x1 y1, this is my x2 y2, and this is my x comma y, right? So x will be equals to x1 plus x2 whole divided by 2, right? So that's what I am going to do out here. So x is this one, right? So x equals to, that is 2 equals to x1 plus x2 whole divided by 2, that is 3 plus x whole divided by 2. Okay, so let's do the cross multiplication from here. So we have 2 into 2, 4 equals to 3 plus x, or 3 plus x equals to 4, right? So by cross multiplication I am getting this much. Let me transfer this 3 to the right hand side. So I'll get x equals to 4 minus 3, that is equals to 1. So we found the value of x. Okay, now similarly let's find the value of y. So y will be equals to, that is 3 is equals to y1 plus y2, that is 5 plus y whole divided by 2, right? So again let's do the cross multiplication. So 5 plus y will be equals to 3 into 2, that is 6. Let me transfer this 5 here. So I'll get 6 minus 5, that is y will be equals to 1. So that's why x and y are turning out to be 1. So you may pause the video to note down. Okay, let's read out next question. So question says A 5 comma 3, B minus 1 comma 1, and C 7 comma minus 3 are vertices of triangle ABC. So I have taken triangle ABC out here, right? So A's coordinate is 5 comma 3, B's coordinate is minus 1 comma 1, and C's coordinate is given to be 7 comma minus 3. Okay, If L is the midpoint of AB, so this is my side AB and the midpoint of AB is given to be L, fine. And M is the midpoint of AC. So here we have got AC, so the midpoint M is plotted out here, fine. Now, since L is the midpoint of AB, AL, that is this one and this one are going to be same. Is that clear? Similarly, since M is the midpoint of AC, I'm going to have AM and MC both are equal, right? So that's why there is a sign somewhat like this. Fine. Now we need to show is LM, that is this one will be equals to half of BC. Okay, so LM means this, right? So basically to find LM we need to use distance formula. So to find or to use distance formula, I need to know the coordinates of L and M. Okay, similarly to calculate BC, we should know the coordinates which is already given. So BC can be directly found out using distance formula. Okay, so our aim is to find the coordinate of L and M. So let's begin. Now, when L is the midpoint of AB, when L is the midpoint of AB, then the midpoint of this, if I call this to be x comma y, then using midpoint formula, if I call this as x1 y1 and if I call this to be x2 y2, then I may say that x, that is this x will be equals to x1 plus x2 by 2, that is x1, that is 5 plus x2, that is minus 1. So plus into minus becomes minus, right? So minus 1, so 5 minus 1 is 4, so 4 divided by 2 is 2. So this is your this x, fine. So similarly let's find y. So y will be equals to y1 plus y2 whole divided by 2, which will be again 2, fine. So we found it, the coordinate of L, that is the coordinate of L is x comma y, that is 2 comma 2, fine. Similarly let's find the coordinate of M. Okay, again I am calling this to be x comma y, so you can call it other than x comma y, for example you can call it a comma b as well. Okay, so x will be equals to, this is my x1 y1 now, this is my x2 y2, fine. So x will be equals to x1 plus x2, that is 5 comma 7 divided by 2, which turns out to be 6, fine. Similarly let's go to the y. So y will be equals to y1 plus y2 divided by 2. So y1 plus y2 is 3 minus 3 divided by 2. So 3 minus 3 is 0, 0 by 2 is 0. So similarly we have found the coordinate of M, which is 6 comma 0. Okay, so we found the coordinate of M. Now let's find what is LM and BC. Okay, so we have LM equals to, using distance formula, so you are already familiar with distance formula, so this turns out to be 2 root 5, fine. So similarly your BC will be equals to 4 root 5. Now let us find what is LM by BC. So LM is equals to 2 root 5, right, and BC is equals to 4 root 5. So root 5 and root 5 gets cancelled, so 2 by 4 is left, and 2 by 4 is how much? It is 1 by 2. So LM by BC is turning out to be 1 by 2. So let me take this BC out there to keep LM only in the left hand side. Okay, so LM will be equals to half into this BC goes over there, so half into BC. So that's what we need to prove. Okay, so you may pause the video to note down. Now the next question, I'm giving you the hint, you will try this by yourself, and this question is similar to question number 2. Okay, so you may pause the video to note down the hints and try the sum by yourself. Okay, let's move on to the next question. So question says P, that is minus 3 comma 2, is the midpoint of the line segment AB as shown in figure. So this figure is given to you. So in the figure it is given that P is the midpoint of AB, fine. So since A is lying exactly in the y-axis, it is not moving towards x direction, right? So that's why the value of x is going to be 0, that is abscissa 0, and let me call the ordinate to be y. Okay, so that means from here to here is how much? Y. Okay, now similarly B is lying exactly on the x-axis, that means it is not moving in the y direction, right? So since it is not moving towards y direction, that's why my ordinate will be 0, and I'm calling the x distance, that is from origin the distance of B is x. Okay, now what you need to do is you need to find the coordinates of A and B. So basically you need to find the value of this x and y. Is that clear? Okay, so let the coordinates of A and B to be 0, y and x, 0 and P, that is minus 3, 2 is the midpoint. Fine. So that's what is given to us. Now, if I compare here with the midpoint formula, this is my x1, y1, this is my x2, y2, and this is my x, y. Okay, so similarly, this x will be equals to x1 plus x2 whole divided by 2. Okay, so let's find. So x is here minus 3, right? So minus 3 is equals to x plus 0 whole divided by 2. Similarly, let's find what is the value of x. So x plus 0 is equals to x, right? Okay, so x plus 0 is equals to x, so it will be equals to x by 2. So x will be equals to 2 into minus 3, that is minus 6. So the value of x is minus 6. Similarly, let's calculate the value of y. So this is my y and this is my y1, y2. So 2 will be equals to y plus 0 whole divided by 2, right? So 0 plus y will be y by 2. So similarly, y will be equals to 2 into 2, which is 4. Okay, so we found the value of y as well. Fine. So therefore the coordinates of A, that is 0, y. What is y? Y is 4. So that is 0, 4. So this is the coordinate of A, and similarly the coordinate of B will be x, 0. That is x is how much? Minus 6. So that's why the coordinate of B is going to be minus 6, 0. So you may pause the video to note down, and the next question, that's question number 6, you will try by yourself. Let's move on to 7th question. So 7th question says minus 5, 2, 3, minus 6 and 7, 4 are the vertices of a triangle ABC. So this is a triangle and the vertices are A, B and C. The coordinates are also mentioned. Fine. Now find the length of its median through the vertex 3, minus 6 and 7, 4. That is, we need to find the median, length of the median from B and C. Okay, so median means first you need to find the midpoint. Okay, and you need to draw a line joining the midpoint and the vertex. Okay, so BM is also one median. Okay, similarly N is the midpoint of AB and CN is the median. Okay, L is the midpoint of BC and AL is also one median. Fine. So having understood this, let's begin. So as usual, I am naming the vertices to be A, B and C, right? Okay. Now, as I said earlier, L is the midpoint of BC, M is the midpoint of CA and N is the midpoint of AB. Fine. So let us calculate the coordinates of L, M and N, because we already know the coordinates of the vertices. Okay, so let's begin. So for L, this is my x1, y1, this is my x2, y2. Okay, so if I call the coordinate of this to be x, y, then this x will be equals to x1 plus x2, that is 3 plus 7 by 2, right? Which turns out to be 10 by 2, which is 5. So x is 5 and similarly y will be equals to y1 plus y2, that is minus 6 plus 4 whole divided by 2, which turns out to be minus 1. So both x and y are founded, that is the coordinate of L will be 5, minus 1. So we founded the coordinate of L. Similarly, you will find the coordinate of M, right? So you will call this as x1, y1, this is x2, y2. Okay, and similarly you will find the coordinate of N as well. Okay, so if you do, then you will find that the coordinate of M will be 1, 3 and the coordinate of N is going to be minus 1, minus 2. So you will verify this by yourself. Fine. Okay, now the question is asking find the length of the median through the vertex 3, minus 6. 3, minus 6 is here and the median through 3, minus 6 is which one? BM. Okay, so can you find BM? We have the vertex, we have the coordinate for B, we have the coordinate for M, right? So the coordinate of M is 1, 3. So use distant formula to find BM, right? And another question is find the length of the median through the vertex 7, 4. So 7, 4 is here, and the median through 7, 4 is Cn, right? So we know the coordinate of C, we know the coordinate of n, which is -1, -2. So again use distance formula to find the value of Cn as well. So basically you need to find Bm and Cn. So you will try the remaining one by yourself. So complete it. Okay, let's move on to the next question. So question says, given a line ABCD, so ABCD is a line in which AB is equals to BC is equals to CD. That means this one, and this one, all these are given to be equal. Fine. Now the coordinates of B and C are also given, so which I have written in the diagram. So you need to find the coordinate of A and D. Okay. Now let's forget about this. Okay, so just imagine that your line segment is from A to C. Okay, so if you see here, then B is the midpoint of AC, right? Because they are given to be equal, right? So let me call the coordinate of A to be x, y. Fine. So let the coordinate of A to be x, y. Now as I said, B is the midpoint of AC, right? So this 0 will be equals to how much? X plus 1 whole divided by 2, right? So this 0 is x, this is my x1 y1, this is my x2 y2. So x will be equals to x1 plus x2 by 2, right? So find the value of x, which turns out to be -1, right? So which we have already seen in question number 2 as well. Fine. So similarly, let's find the value of y. So this 3 will be equals to y plus 8 whole divided by 2, right? So find the value of y from here. So 3 into 2 is 6. So from here y turns out to be -2. So the coordinate of A is how much? -1, -2. So we found the coordinate of A now. Now the next part will be done by yourself. Now forget about this part. So just take BD. Okay. So C is the midpoint of BD and call the coordinate of this D to be x, y, or you can take it to be A, B. Okay. So this becomes your x1, y1, this becomes your x2, y2, and this becomes your x, y. So find the value of A and B. So you may pause the video to note down. Okay, let's go to the next one. So question says, one end of the diameter of a circle is 2, -5. So there's a circle, okay, and this AB is your diameter. Okay, so if AB is your diameter, your center will be O, and this O will be your midpoint of AB, right? So the coordinate of A, one end, is given to be -2, 5. Okay, find the coordinates of the other end of the diameter if the center is 2, -1. So this is given, so you need to find the coordinate of B. If you take this to be x, y, so again it's going to be the problem which is similar to question number 2. So please try this at home. Okay, so dear students, let's go to the next question. So question says, A 2, 5, B 1, 0, C -4, 3, and D, that is -3, 8, are vertices of quadrilateral ABCD. Fine. You need to find the coordinates of the midpoints of AC and BD, and you need to give a special name to quadrilateral. So basically you need to identify whether this is a rectangle, square, parallelogram, rhombus, or any other kind of quadrilateral. Okay, so to identify what is my given quadrilateral is, what I did is, I'm taking a graph paper, I'm plotting the points, given points, and I'm just joining them. So from the figure I came to know that the figure is a parallelogram, right? So this is a parallelogram. ABCD is a parallelogram. Now this is just for checking which kind of quadrilateral is this. Okay, this is this won't be the process in which I'm going to show in the exams. Okay, so how to show that this is a parallelogram, we'll try to understand using the sums as I'm going to explain now. So this is given to us. Fine. So to find the midpoint of AC, fine. So to find the midpoint of AC, this one, so we have the coordinates of A and we have the coordinates of C, right? So if I call this as x1, y1, and if I call this to be x2, y2, and if I call the midpoint to be x comma y, then x will be equals to x1 plus x2 whole divided by 2, which turns out to be minus 1, right? Similarly, y will be equals to y1, that's 3 comma 5 divided by 2, which turns out to be 4. Fine. So that's why the coordinate of, or the midpoint of AC is how much? Minus 1 comma 4. So we have found it, the first answer, that is midpoint of AC. Similarly, let's find the midpoint of BD, that is this one. Okay, so to find the midpoint of BD, if I again call the midpoint to be x comma y, and if I call this as x1 y1, this as x2 y2, then x will be equals to minus 3 comma 1, or 1 minus 3 whole divided by 2, which turns out to be minus 1, and similarly y will be equals to 8 plus 0 by 2, which turns out to be 4. So that's why the coordinate of x will, midpoint of BD will be minus 1 comma 4. Now if you see here carefully, both the midpoints are same, right? And the midpoints, or the diagonals of a parallelogram, intersect, not only intersect, but they bisect each other, right? That means the point of intersection of the diagonal of parallelograms will be nothing but the midpoint of the diagonals, right? I repeat again, the point of intersection of the diagonals of a rectangle bisect the diagonal. That means the point of intersection will be the midpoint of the diagonals, right? So since the point of intersection is same for both, right, so that means both of them gets intersected or bisected at the same point. So that's why the figure has to be a parallelogram. Okay, so that's how you are going to prove during exams, not using your graph paper. Okay, so you may pause the video to note down. Okay, let's move on to the next question. As the question says do yourself, I'll just explain you what is happening here. So P and Q are vertices of triangle or parallelogram PQRS. So this is my PQRS, right? Okay, and P and Q are given to us. Okay, and minus 3 comma 2 are coordinates of the point of intersection of its diagonals, and I'm calling the point of intersection to be O. Okay, and the coordinate is given to be minus 3 comma 2. Now what you need to do is you need to find the coordinates of R and S. So how to do, I'm just going to explain. Now we know that if PR is the diagonal, then this point of intersection acts like a midpoint, right? So take this to be x comma y, okay, and this will be x1 y1, this will be x2 y2, this will be x comma y. So find the value of x y from here. Okay, so using midpoint formula. So you have done this kind of problem again in question number 2. Similarly, you call this to be a comma b, okay, and O will be the midpoint of SQ, right? So again do the same and find the coordinate of S also. So do this by yourself. Again, next is also similar. I'm just going to explain this as well. So question says A, B and D are the vertices of a parallelogram ABCD. Okay, so A is given, B is given, okay, and what is given? D is given. Okay. Okay, now to begin with this problem, what am I going to do is, that is to find the vertex C, I'm calling the coordinate to be x comma y. Okay, so basically we need to find the value of x comma y. Now to find x comma y, what we need to do is we need to know the coordinate of the midpoint, right? Now we don't know the coordinate of midpoint. Now let's try to find the coordinate of midpoint, that is coordinate of origin O. Fine. Now we know that this O is again midpoint of BD, right? So we know the coordinate of B and we know the coordinate of D. So call this as x1, y1, call this as x2, y2, and call this coordinate to be x comma y, and find the value of x comma y from here. That means you founded the midpoint O. Okay, so if you know the coordinate of A and O, you also will be able to find the coordinate of C.